Well, 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 would you look at that? Looks like we got some hatchlings on our hands here, folks. It looks like all of my chicks hatched. Or at least most of my chicks hatched. Let me start getting some of these guys out of here, and I'll try to explain what happened. Pablo Barncat, you need to get out of here. Scoot, buddy. Out, out, out. Welcome to the world, little ones. Please don't all rush out at once. Whoop, whoop. I'll take you. I'll take you. Take you. I'm gonna let the rest of you guys stay in here for maybe another day or so. We'll see how you do. Oh, would you look at them? They're adorable. Hi, little guys. Now I'm gonna put you in your temporary home underneath the brooder plate, where you can stay nice and toasty with a mama bird. Oh no, you're trapped. Well, poor little one. But you go right under here. Now let's take out the second batch. All right, we'll let the remainder of you guys stay in there and keep developing as well. So yeah, would you look at these little cheeps we got here? Brand new baby chicks, just hatched. Well, they started hatching yesterday, but now they're just hatched. These guys are just fully hatched this morning. Aren't they adorable? Wow, look at this one. This is a pretty, I think, lavender one. All right, I'm gonna put you guys in with the rest of your siblings. Here you go. In you go, guys. I've actually got so many that hatched, I think I'm gonna need to add a second one of these. Lucky for me, I actually already had one on hand. I like to use these brooder plates instead of like a heat lamp because I find that it is much better for the chicks, as well as the fact that it's much less of a fire risk relative to like using an old-fashioned heat bulb. If you wanna find some of these for yourself, I'll leave an affiliate link so you can find them. They're super easy to set up too. See, right out of the box, that's how easy it is. No fussing with light bulbs. You can just touch the plate to see it's nice and warm. We're gonna add this second one in here, guys. Excuse me. As you can probably tell by all of the perspiration on my face, it's actually very warm in here. Inside this room right now, it's about 75 degrees. And so I think they might be actually good with just one. We'll see what it looks like when I add the other chicks in here. So yeah, about 21 days ago, I put all of these eggs in these incubators. And I was actually really trying to do a little bit of a test where I had these incubators that had the auto turning function. And I have this incubator whose auto turning function was broken. And so I tried to actually just move these and rotate these by hand. And surprisingly, I don't think I see a single one pipped yet. So I don't know, just in and of itself, that's kind of an interesting data point. But these two Matacoops incubators did phenomenally well. I'm like wicked impressed with what it looks like. I'll come back a little later this morning and I'll give them some food and water for the first time, but they actually don't really need anything just yet. And so I'm not rushing it. And then these little guys that you see in here are just gonna need more time to hatch. They can just stay in the incubator. You know, oftentimes people will send baby chicks in the mail because like the first 3 days they hatch, they don't need food or water. As long as they stay protected and warm, they're fine. And so keeping these guys, like whether they be inside the incubator still or inside a tiny little temporary brooder like this, either way it works out really well. But of course I'm gonna have to clean up this mess, and I'm also gonna have to clean up their more permanent home. Okay, now you guys are getting evicted, all of you. I think it's been ups and downs as being roommates. The ducks have driven the chickens crazy. But of course, Chicken the duck, who's that biggest duckling, really had these chickens as their only family for the first few weeks. But I need to make some changes here on the farm. Okay, jerk duck, please don't attack me. Hang on, let me get your little ones. So the ducklings are still a little bit too young for me to want to just release them out into the wild just yet. So what I've decided to do is I'm gonna give them a new temporary home that they'll probably only stay in for about a week or so, but I just want the little ones a little bit more time to grow up and feather out. Hey, weird chickens, you're gonna get some new roommates. So they have like a little temporary shelter and they'll have water. There you go. Of course, it might take their neighbors a few minutes to adjust to them, but I'm pretty sure they'll be okay. Lavender Brown is not happy. Her children are a little scared, but everybody's generally okay. Jerk Duck and her children are gonna explore here for a little bit. By the way, folks were very confused about Mr. Frizzle. The other day on a live stream, people were very concerned that he was like dealing with heat stress. He just has this tendency to like sit out here and be very lazy and just sit in the sun. I've never seen a chicken do it quite the way he does it, but he's okay, and I think everybody's gonna be okay in just a little bit. Abby Dog, you look way too interested in those guys. Please leave them alone. All right, now it's time to address the situation with Deb and her children. Now with my girl Deb here, I could easily put her back with my laying flock up on the top of the pasture, but I think I want to give her maybe a couple more weeks living with her children. And so I've created a special habitat just for them that I'm pretty sure that both Deb and her children are going to love. Would you look at that? Deb's children are terrified without her, so I'm going to put her back with them. They immediately run to mom. Even though they're definitely old enough to be on their own, I find that they're pretty happy when they're all together. So now the chickens and their old roommates, the ducks, are next door neighbors, but they're both gonna get a little bit more space. The chickens are gonna live in the weird chicken coop that you see right there. So they get to use that as their home for the next few weeks. And as for the ducks, if they really wanna live in the coop, they can. But what I really think they're gonna claim as their home is this blue bucket here. Probably in about a week or so, I'm gonna let them free range outdoors. And so I'd rather try to harden out the ducklings just a little bit more by having them live inside that. And yeah, it seems like the weird chickens are coping. What you thinking, Abby? You like this place? Well, unfortunately, I'm gonna need the real estate for some other critters. Can you come out? And actually what I need to do with this brooder house is clean it out, get fresh shavings in there, and get it prepped for the new chicks. But all of that is extremely easy to do. Voila! Our little chicken habitat. Brooder, I guess, is the real actual term for it. Got the heating plate, we've got water, we've got grit, we've got feed. They've got plenty of fresh, clean shavings. They even have an Abby dog to watch out for them. So all the chicks that are hatching right now, they'll spend the first week or so confined entirely to this area until I open up that door back there and then let them have indoor-outdoor access. And then as they get bigger and bigger, they'll keep having more and more space before they're free ranging. And then ultimately by the fall, I'll integrate all the females into my laying flock and all the boys will go into our freezer. I know for some folks that might sound harsh, particularly when you see these cute, adorable, fluffy little chicks, but you have to realize it's actually not even good for your flock to have a flock that's 50% male, 50% female, and you have to do something with all those baby chicks. You know, sometimes industrial hatcheries will actually just take those chicks that hatch that are boys and they'll just kill them right out of the gate. I don't feel very good about that, and what I prefer to do is raise them up, let them have a good life, and then ultimately harvest them as meat birds when they grow to size. And yes, I know that will make some folks very upset, but honestly, that's just how it works on the farm sometimes. But now that I have this outstanding chicken habitat, all I really need to get are some baby chickens. Good morning, baby chicks. How's everybody doing? Look at you guys, you're so vibrant and active. And then how are the little ones in here? Ooh, you guys look like you're rip-roaring to go. And then would you guys look at this surprise that we got in this one? We actually have some that hatched in here. I actually had given up on this incubator, didn't think it was gonna hatch. We actually had them start to pip last night, and yeah, we're gonna get several birds out of this incubator. I have a pretty good idea why that happened, and I'll explain it in a minute. But first, let's get these guys out of the incubator and get them into a brooder. What you looking at there, Pablo Barn Cat? You better not be getting any ideas here, kid. No barn cats allowed. All right, let's see what we're working with here. Whoa, 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 hey, don't run away. Ooh, you're a spunky one. Look at this one, it's like chocolate. I don't think I've ever seen a chick that looks like this. Now we're gonna liberate you guys. I bet you're gonna be a little rooster. I'm terrible at trying to vent sex these guys. What you're trying to look for is basically a little tiny baby chicken penis inside their vent like that. I don't think I see one, so maybe you are a hen. Look at all you guys, you're so vibrant. And then these guys are still going, so I don't even want to open the incubator yet, so I'm just gonna let them be. I'm going to take the heating plate from these guys, put it on top of these guys. I'm gonna let you hang out in here for maybe a day or so and let you build up some strength. And you guys look so darn energetic and vigorous, I think it's time for you to move out. All right, so we got 29 in here, we got 9 in here, and then there's easily about 6 or 7 that have already hatched in that other incubator. This is going way better than any other hatch I have ever tried here, at least this year, and so I'm super excited. And as for these eggs, I am going to pull the plug, because I don't think I've seen anybody who's hatched and still going. Like, I have this one that pipped early, but it looks like it died in the egg. But all the others that hatched did really well, and there's very few eggs that actually didn't hatch. This one also did very well. So I have high hopes for this one. But now with this new class ready to go, it's time to move these guys into their new home. Okay, Abby Dog, I need you to take a big giant step back. Abby Dog, this is only gonna be for about 5 minutes, but I don't trust you not trying to snatch one of those chicken McNuggets. I've actually grown to trust Abby a lot more around adult chickens. It's just the baby birds. I don't know, I just can't trust her at all. All right, let's start letting you guys out. There you go. Put you guys down there. Down you go. Look at that, these little guys are already starting to check out the grit. Get a little sample of that, and then they'll probably figure out where the feed is over here. Now this one right here feels like the weakest one in the batch so far. It's probably gonna be okay. I'm just gonna try giving it a little drink of water. It's water, try that. Now it's kind of cool to see these guys just opening up to the world and exploring for the first time. This is actually one of my favorite times on the farm. It's just so cool to see them experiencing life for the first time and seeing things here. I'm gonna put the weak one underneath the heat lamp. And yeah, just let them chill out and do their thing. As they get older, I like to suspend these feeders from the ceiling because it actually keeps their feed much cleaner. But for right now, I'll keep it low and give them a chance to kind of peck around at it and enjoy it. And yeah, this is what their little mommy bird nest looks like. They can get nice and warm if they want to, or they can come out and run around. But yeah, they're pretty cute, aren't they? My wife Allison actually likes to come in here when we have freshly cleaned brooders and freshly hatched chicks. She'll usually just kind of sit in here and hang out with them. I'll sometimes do it too. Either the chicks or the goslings. The grit is actually really important for them to eat, because essentially the grit is just like little tiny pebbles and sand. And since chickens don't have teeth, they add this stuff to their stomach, and then they get the ability to digest their food better. It's not that they can't digest their food without it. They actually make more efficient use of their feed when they have grit like this. You know, in the past I've actually bought like the grit they sell at the store, and I just find that if I take some of the road sand we have at the farm, it does just fine. Look at these ones. You'll actually notice there's a bunch of them. They're these big yellow fluffy ones that are white with little black spots. If I had to guess, I think they are American breast hens mixed with our black Australorp rooster, Black Francis. I don't know, that's just a guess. Versus like say this one, if I had to guess, might be a Bielenfelder? I don't know. It's a very interesting marking that this one has, huh? But this is just the habitat they need right now to cheep and explore and wander around. They'll stay plenty warm inside here between just the fact that it's summer as well as the fact that we have this heating plate here. If they wander too far, they generally can figure their way back over here. But I don't know, I just love seeing them get to explore the world for the very first time. And for them to like instinctually do the things that they're meant to do as chickens, like peck and jump around. So you'll actually notice with these two, they both have fluffy feet and they're this very pretty gray color. They're not exactly the same, but I think if I had to guess, their moms are lavender cochins and their dads, I don't know, are either American breasts, or they could be the black Australorp, or they actually could be. I do have one lone, like least dominant rooster, and that is actually Dorian Gray, and he's actually a lavender cochin as well. Aw, you're so adorable. I'll put you back down. So let's just take a quick moment and watch to see what they do when they do their little baby chick thing. Because trust me, my friends, it is adorable. Good morning, little guys. How's everybody doing in there? So actually, last night, and I forgot to bring my camera and show you this when I did it, I actually took all the ones that had fully fluffed out and hatched out of here. I still actually see 2 eggs that I'm gonna give a little bit more time and hopefully we'll be able to save. But that is pretty much it for the hatches. Now, I'm sure everybody's wondering what was the difference in hatching rate between these incubators and these incubators. So let's just do a little bit of a count and we'll figure out what's going on. So we've got an additional 20 birds plus the 29 I've already put outside. So that gives me 49 birds. Sadly, I also actually had a bird that was in this one that passed away. You know, sometimes you will just have a situation where a bird is just too weak and it's not gonna make it. And I feel like out of 50 birds that wholly hatched, to lose only one, that's kind of a very normal and solid mortality rate, and I feel okay about it. Let me just take a moment to tabulate everything, and as you can see right here, here's my total results for the hatch and what we ended up producing. Aren't those numbers extremely impressive? I'm actually feeling very good about these numbers and feel like I've maybe made up a little bit for some of my hatching problems in the past. And also, as a secret, I'm making this graphic after the fact so I don't actually know the numbers. Now, without wasting any more time, let's get these little ones outside and we'll introduce them to their brothers and sisters.
Okay, Abby Dog, we have some more new recruits.
Good morning, little ones. How's everybody doing in here today? So you can actually see the older baby chicks are just starting to wake up this morning. They still have plenty of food. You will notice that they've gone through quite a bit of their grit. They still have plenty of water. If you guys are wondering what this black stuff in here is, I actually sometimes like to put some of the grit inside the water just as a further way to entice them to consume more of that grit. But yeah, let's start letting some of these little ones out to meet their siblings. There you go, little hatchlings. Another little gray coaching. You're already pecking around. Try some of this. Here, little one, you want to try a little drink of water? Get that taste. There you go. There's some food if you want it. You know, you really don't have to like teach them how to do anything like eat or drink. They just instinctually know how to do it. They instinctually know when to go into the heat and when to not. You know, for the most part, these are pretty robust little creatures because when you think about a chick that hatches under a mama, it's got to do a lot on its own right out of the gate. So they're pretty well developed. And they'll figure out the difference between wood shavings, which are not all that good to eat, and the feed pellets that are good. This is just non-medicated chick starter. that you can get at the feed store. And if you happen to have trouble getting your hands on some of the chick grower or chick starter, you can actually just feed them regular layer stuff. It just gives them a little bit of a better start if you give them the proper food, but it's not an absolute requirement despite what some folks might say. And I think this little one is gonna maybe turn out to be like a barred rock chicken, which is like the little black and white speckled ones. When I go show you Deb's kids and check in on them, you'll see what an older version of this chick will probably end up looking like. So I'm pretty sure that this is gonna be the last of the chicks that I hatch this year, but who knows? You never know. Sometimes you get surprises. Now, I think one important thing to note is I already actually sold a dozen of these little guys yesterday, and I might even sell a few more over the next couple of days. And so the reality is I actually need to update my hatching numbers. And so actually when you include the number of birds that I actually sold, it's actually even better of a hatching rate than I originally had thought. And you do see a very distinct difference between those two incubators that are out there. Pretty much all of these birds are about 48 hours old or less. I don't know, maybe a couple of them are almost 72 hours now. They all get together, get along really well, and eventually they're gonna make one big chicken flock. You know, I'm not keeping them all. Like I said, the cockerels that you see in the mix here are going to end up in the freezer, but all the hens will stay with us for several years. It's always kind of nice to see that formation of a new flock, even though they will ultimately be integrated into my existing flock, which my flock has been kind of continuously grown for the last 5.5 years. That's not to say that they've all been here for 5.5 years, but I do have some chickens that are about that age. It's fun to add new ones into the mix, and as some birds get old or die, or I might cull some of them, you know, they drop out, but it's one continuous flock that keeps going, and I don't know, that to me is kind of a beautiful thing. Meanwhile, let's check in on our other birds that we have floating around here. I'm hearing kind of a noisy and chaotic situation over here. What's going on? Wait a minute, how'd you sneak out? Jerk Duck is very upset because somehow her duckling snuck out. So this duckling that you see right here, this is kind of a miracle duckling. So if you guys will recall, a couple weeks ago when we had flooding, at least at the time that I'm recording this video, it was about 2 weeks ago, this duckling hadn't even hatched and it was still an egg. And I actually stuck it in an incubator with all of the chicks that I just recently hatched, and it's grown up really well. Overall, it's very happy to be a part of the family with Jerk Duck and Chicken the Duck and the other duck that was hatched that day. I think their neighbors are still trying to make sense of things, but I'm gonna put this one back. Whoa, 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 Jerk Duck, come on, stop being a jerk. I was rescuing your baby. I'm just trying to help you. Good golly, ma'am. That was a little bit of chaos. Mr. Frizzle is protecting one of his children. I know, Mr. Frizzle. It's kind of chaotic here right now, but it's gonna get better. Actually, in that video about the flood, a lot of you guys made the comment about why didn't I try to save or hatch the other eggs? And the reality is I checked all of the other eggs as I was looking at them and even attempting to candle them. There was no way pretty much any of those eggs were gonna hatch within the next like 4 days. And so I decided to just let them go. So that was a choice that I made, but it felt like the right choice to make. I know some of you guys would say, oh, no, you need to like keep trying that out and you need to try to keep saving them. But I actually see there's like a certain line to be drawn, because you could like continuously keep trying to save eggs and sometimes it's actually not the most productive thing. But based on all my previous experiences, I was pretty certain that none of those other eggs were gonna hatch. And by the way, Jerk Duck is not a duck to be trifled with. I might need to kick Jerk Duck out sooner rather than later. It's not that she's gonna hurt anybody, but I don't like all this chaos. Now let's check in with Deb and her kids. Good morning, Deb. What's the matter, you guys? You can't figure out how to get out? They're all inside there and accounted for, but they don't seem to want to rush out. I don't know why. They actually all put themselves to bed really well. Like I came out here at dusk last night and they had all gone inside the coop, and so I was able to just close up the door. So I'm actually extremely happy about that. I don't know why they're not coming out just yet. They might need a minute or two to figure out how the steps work to go down, but they definitely figured out going up the steps. You guys are gonna notice this is the feeder I'm now using for Deb and her chicks. Basically, you can buy these little plastic covers online and they make a perfect little cover for feed, and so you just drill a hole in a bucket and then they'll eat it. You can easily make something similar with like PVC pipe, but I actually find that these are even more effective. In a future video, I might actually do something where I compare and contrast like a PVC built one, like just from like PVC pipe that you can get at like a building supply store, versus the kind that I bought online, which I don't know, they were relatively cheap. I think I got like a 3-pack for like 10 bucks or something like that. Now you guys might be wondering, what do I end up doing with all of the unhatched eggs? Like what happens to them? How do I dispose of them? What's my process there? And well, the honest answer is, much like a lot of the waste product on our farm, I feed it to the pigs. If you guys are curious about how profitable it is to raise chickens where you grow the roosters out versus just raising a typical type of meat bird, I'll leave this video here where I break down all the numbers and experiences I've had in the past. Thanks for watching, everybody.